Welcome to class tonight. I do hope that you had a fantastic day and are going to continue having a fantastic day. Tonight we're going to be working on a skill that is quite foundational to much of what we, and more specifically you, will be doing all throughout this class and then well into high school and beyond. This is a really big deal, ladies and gentlemen, and if you get it now, I can guarantee you that it will help you down the road, especially because I can guarantee you're going to be seeing this type of stuff throughout the rest of your school career. This is a big deal. So, pay close attention, do your very best, and obviously if you have any questions, hold on to those, write those down, and make sure you give those to me or give those to your teacher on the next day in class. So let's go ahead and get started by opening to page 68 in your textbook, please. Once again, page 68. Now, guys, let's get started by actually defining some terms. You'll see actually these terms are defined on pages 68 and then page 69 as well. Now, on the very first one, we have what's called a numerical expression. Now, that may be a new term to you, but it's not a new idea at all. A mathematical expression is simply a mathematical phrase with only numbers and operation symbols. And operation symbols are plus, minus, times, for example. And so this is an example of a numerical operation. I say 2 plus 3 minus 4 equals 1. That's easy. I can solve that and get it pretty done easily. Another example is 3 times 2 equals 6. That's another example of a numerical expression. Big word, but a very easy idea. Numerical expression. Now, here's where we get to some new things. We're actually just not going to be using numerical expressions today. We're actually going to be getting into what's called algebraic expressions. Now, that's a big, scary word, and we'll talk about it in just a minute. But before we get to that, let's talk about the word variable. This is an important word for what we're going to be doing today because we have to know what it means, because we're going to be using a lot of them. Now, a variable is simply a symbol that represents one or more numbers. Now, I've given you some common ones. You see that one. Now, I just found another symbol, and, well, technically, that's another symbol. Those are just symbols. Now, most of the time, mathematicians and your math teacher will expect you to use letters. But, and I did this on purpose, you can use any symbol you want as a variable. You could put a smiley face or frowny face, whatever, as long as it is a symbol that represents one or more numbers. So that's a variable, is simply a symbol. Finally, an algebraic expression. Big word, kind of scary. You've probably heard it before. But an algebraic expression is simply a mathematical expression with one or more variables. I told you that word was important. One or more variables. So right here, I made up an algebraic expression. You'll notice it's actually very similar to this one. That's on purpose. So this right here says 2 plus smiley face, that's my variable, minus 4 equals 1. That smiley face stands for, it represents a number, and so I would have to figure out what that smiley face stood for. And that's how I get my answer. So an algebraic expression is simply a mathematical expression with one or more variables in it. Now, most of the time, you will see an algebraic expression that looks like this. 2 plus x minus 4 equals 1. Normally, you will see a letter in there, but I just threw it in the smiley face to show you it's just a symbol. Okay? So those are the first 3 terms that you have got to know. Numerical expression, variable, and then algebraic expression. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the next step, and I like this step because the book has you take, is getting the idea of what a variable is. Now, right here, I have this, so this is going to represent 1. Okay, so that's 1 block. So any numbers in here, so I have 3, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. There's 3 numbers there. And then the bar here is going to represent the variable, because the bar could represent any number. It could be a small number or a big number. We're just going to use the bar to represent the variable. So in this case, I have 3, over here, I have 3 ones, and I'm going to have, ooh, look at that. I have 3 ones, so I have that there. Now I'm going to have 5 variables. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 variables plus 3 numbers, or three ones in this case. Okay? So this is a way to show algebraic expressions. It's a way from it's going from a very algebraic is kind of scary. It's a big word. This is a very concrete way of thinking about it. Okay? This bar represents one or more numbers. Now this one over here, I have 3x, or 3 variables. Now this, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 variables. Very easy, because there's 3x, 3 variables. Now, I believe you already know this. In fact, you should already know this. But whenever you see a number right next to a variable, that means times. Okay, so we can write this. That's the same thing as 12 times p. We don't write the x anymore because, well, it sure looks like an x. And we use a lot of x's in our algebra. So we don't use this sign anymore. Right now, so whenever you see 5x or 12p or 3x, that simply means 3 times x, or 5 times x, or 12 times p. So I want to point that out as well. All right, we have one more practice because I want to make sure this is down. So in this case, I have 2 ones and I have 1 variable. So I'm going to go 1 variable and then go 1, 2 ones. So 1 variable and then 2 ones. It's as simple as that. Finally, 4 variables, so 4 times x plus 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then plus 3. 1, 2, 3. So you see, I simply look at the number right there. This tells me how many variables, and that tells me how many ones. 4x, 4 times the variable, plus 3 ones. All right, so that is the first part. Now I want to be very careful and explain and let you know that this will be on your homework. They're going to have you pull out bars or draw bars and squares for your homework. So I want to point that out so you guys have that down. All right, next step. So that was the more concrete step. This is the less concrete step. This is where it gets not more difficult, but just a little more interesting. Here I have, it says, evaluate, which simply means solve. I'll write that actually. Evaluate is simple as a big word for solve. So evaluate each expression for x equals 7. Now this is important because that tells you what x is. So I see 3x plus 15, 5x divided by 7, 56 minus 4x. That right there is incredibly important because now I know what x stands for. That's a big deal. So all I'm going to do is put this in for x. I'm going to substitute, the word is substitute, this right here in for x. So it's going to look like this. 3 times 7, now remember I put parentheses there, it's the same thing as times, plus 15. So I use my x equals 7, I put my x right there, that's x, I put it in there. 3 times 7 is going to be 21 plus 15. 21 plus 15 is going to be 36. And so my answer to this problem is 36. Let's do another one. 5x divided, remember that's a sign for division, divided by 7. So once again I'm going to substitute x equals 7. So it's going to be 5 times 7 divided by, I'll use this sign, 7. So I'm going to solve this first. It's going to be 35 divided by 7, and the answer is going to be 5. So this solution is that right there. When I put 7 in for x, I get 5. Let's do one more, like this. So once again, we use x minus x equals 7, so it's going to be 56 minus 4 times 7. So it's going to be 4 times 7 is going to be 28. 56 minus 28. When I subtract 56 minus 28, I'm going to get 28. So when I put 7 in for x, my answer is 28. Now, the interesting thing about this, and we're going to do another one, the interesting thing about this is I can put any number I want for x. X is a variable. It stands for one or more numbers. It can stand for any number I want. Back here, I could have put 300 right there if I wanted to. I didn't, but I could have if that made sense. But in this case, they say, oh, no, forward. So in this case, I want, now I have changed things here. Okay? Now I'm using different numbers to emphasize this fact that I can put any number I want in for x. So right here, 9 minus 3x. Now x equals 3. That tells me what I'm going to do. So 9 minus 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is going to be 9. 9 minus 9 is going to be 0. So my answer is going to be 0 when x equals 3. In this one, x equals 5. I just have 7x. So I have 7 times 5. So right there, when x equals 5, 7 times x is going to be 35. And last one like this, x equals 12. So I'm simply going to put 12 in for x. So it's going to be 15 minus 12. 15 minus 12 is going to be 3. So when x equals 12, 15 minus x is going to be 3. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm emphasizing this fact a lot. X could be anything. I gave you lots of examples. Usually, here at the very beginning, they're going to tell you what x is. And so that makes it very easy. All you have to do is put x into the problem. That's all you have to do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our very last step. We're going to get very practical by solving a table using variables. Now, the table will give us an expression. It's right here. Gave us an expression, an algebraic expression, 3s. It'll give us the expression and then a list of variables. Now remember back here, I gave you x equals 3, x equals 5. In this one, they're saying s is my variable, s equals 15, s equals 40, equals 65. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to use this expression and these variables to solve that answer right there. Oh. Let me try to clear that. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and read this and solve. It says, the History Club sells magazine subscriptions to earn money. For each subscription, the club earns $3. The expression 3s, that's our expression, represents the amount of money the club earns. So this is the number of subscriptions. So if they sold 15 subscriptions, we would do, so 3 times 15 is going to be, so if they sold 15 subscriptions, they would earn $45 because 3 times 15 is $45. Now next one, this is my next variable, 40, so now I'm going to go 40 times 3. So if they sold 40 subscriptions, they would earn $120. And finally, 65. If they sold 65 subscriptions, they would get $195. Because all I did is this expression right here and use my variables and then solve. So this tells us how much they could earn depending on how many subscriptions they sell. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I do hope this makes sense, and if it doesn't, please bring questions in tomorrow. I want to make sure this is very, very clear, because this, as I mentioned, this is a very, very big deal. Remember the key ideas. A variable is a number that represents one or many numbers. Remember, it's just a symbol. It's a symbol that represents one or more numbers. And then finally, an algebraic expression is simply an expression that contains variables. And we use what we know about variables to solve the expressions. Well, ladies, that is it. Please bring questions. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Please bring questions to class tomorrow. Your homework will be page 71 7 through 17 odd. Once again, page 71, 7 through 17 odd. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you all tomorrow.